we'll continue our conversation in this stock-taking week with one man that a lot of people have wondered, where has he been? And probably starting more from that point of recruitment process in our political space, please join us to welcome Honorable Patrick Obahiagbon, former member, House Leader, Edo State House of Assembly, former member, Federal House of Representatives, former Chief of Staff to former Governor Adams Oshomole, a lawyer, a public figure, a father, a brother, a friend. Honorable Obahiagbon, thank you for joining us this morning.
So much. Good morning.
We'll start off from that point. Where have you been? You have been quiet and not so much in the public space. What's going on?
So nice to interface with the Channels family this morning. I congratulate you people for what you are doing, engaging government, engaging the public. Two fundamental reasons explains my pro-temporal absence from the public space. Two fundamental reasons. One, in the last 8 years, I came to the conclusion that the more you engaged in any genuine animadversion or objurgation, or if you like, call it critical engagement with the last government, particularly Mr. President then, the more President Muhammadu Buhari remained ossified, the more he remained ardent, locking himself up in the cyclopean mansion of the world, the villa. And for me, my brother, I don't engage in political soliloquy. So I wasn't going to join the circles of any political soliloquy. So a man who was not ready to listen to the people. The second reason flows from that, which is that early enough in life, I was privileged to question, why is man on earth? What is man's mission? When man passes through transition or he undergoes the grand initiation, where does man go to? These are eschatological questions. And I came to early realization from my studies that the only business of man on earth is the progressive evolution of his soul personality. So that when you reintegrate with Omni, you are able to progressively evolve your soul personality until you are privileged again by the laws of karma to have the breath of life for the next incarnation. So when we had a president that was not listening to anybody, law being my profession, politics being my vocation, and mysticism being my life, I decided to ensconce and cocoon myself in a mystical aqua where I've had to study and practice deeply mystical, metaphysical, and hermetic laws, by the way, not only for myself, but on behalf of the collectivity of our common humanity.
So you would definitely have something to say about some of the national issues that have been happening since you went into your cocoon, as you said.
In any case, let me quickly say that I came out of that cocoon when President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu contested for that election. You will recall that if you are taking more than a passive observance of the unfolding political cinematography at that time, myself and Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa managed the campaigns for him and the party across the 36 states. And I had the rare privilege of introducing now President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in most of the states when we went for campaign before he addressed the audience. So I've been following, therefore, the affairs of government very keenly and very intensely.
You know, Honorable Obahiagbon, let's look at that election of 2023. I mean, my colleague started out the first segment by calling this year, if we were to name this year, we'll call it the year of politicking or the year of elections, like the Chinese will always name their years. But let's look at that 2023 elections. It threw up a lot of fault lines that hitherto hadn't been given much attention. Ethnic divides, religious divides, all of those things came to the fore in these 2023 elections. And now the elections are over. Amongst the first things that happened, subsidy gone, price hikes of practically everything, and inflation out there. And the Nigerians are screaming, what is going on? We were hoping that with the last administration going, things will be looking better, but it looks as if it got worse.
Yes, regarding my impressions about the 2023 elections before we delve into the aqua of what has happened since the inauguration of this new government, it was sad and lugubriously so that we were still talking about religion, we were still talking about tribalism and ethnicity. These are very primordial sentiments that we must grow as a nation. Certain lessons from that election, certain lessons in our electoral jurisprudence. But even before we get into all that, let me say that I was maniacally bewildered that some persons really believed that they were going to win that election. You take Atiku Abubakar, for example, who litigated this matter up to the Supreme Court. How did Atiku Abubakar, for example, thought he was going to win that presidential election when he came into the election with an atrabilously macadamized political party? A PDP that was redolent with political acerbity, asperity, causality, darkness, virulence, acrimony, and morosity. So for some of us, and I want to believe for serious social political thinkers, they were not going to be surprised by the outcome of that elections as it affected the presidential candidate of PDP. Outside Atiku, another man that showed a great impact. Another man that made a great impact from the point of view of challenging the entrenched political culture in Nigeria was Peter Obi, who rode on the crest of the recusancy of the Nigerian demographic youths who have come to have a righteous indignation, for what they saw as the politics of atavism, by the two major political parties. But in any case, in one interview I granted before that election, I made a prognostication that Peter Obi was not going to win that election. And why? Because his political peregrination suffered a political thalidomide ab initio when he hinged his campaign on the politics of Frankenstein's parapolism and religion. And in any case, his bold, very audacious and clinical attempt to distance himself from the political Asian regime did not fly, because in truth and indeed, Peter Obi was himself a part of the Asian regime, of the political Asian regime. It's just that, like I said, the two major political parties before now have not done anything spectacular. So the youths were really indignant, and Peter Obi just rode on that crest. So at the end of the day, the people saw it for what it was. And what was it? A mere political skyamaki, bordering and verging on flossy, nausea, nihilipilification. So those were my prognostications at that time, which came to pass. Yes, lessons for INEC, lessons for electoral jurisprudence. Yes, I want to believe that going forward, we should begin to tinker with our electoral act. I must say, however, that the 2002 Electoral Act as amended is one of the most finest pieces of legislation for re-engineering electoral democracy.
Well, if I may come in, the Igodo Migodo, you certainly have sorely been missed around here. I'm sure you're going to be getting responses from our viewers very soon. And I know that, you had your own predictions for 2023. However, 2024 is a few days away. In fact, a few hours, one can say, in terms of when you look at the time that we have between now and Monday. Your state, Edo State, is going to be coming into focus because another election is going to be happening there. A new governor for Edo State will be elected come 2024. And you're a politician. You've called politics your vocation, and being a lawyer your profession. So can you tell us from how you're seeing the political arrangements? Because some people have said the way 2024 is looking, it is uncertain just what is going to happen. They think that Labour Party, even though you have dismissed the wave, the crest upon which Mr. Peter Obi rode to be the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and the movement, they think they're going to be a major force come 2024 in Edo State politics. Do you agree with them?
In that same interview that I granted before the presidential elections, I did say, and that is going to be a prolegomena to answer your question. I did say at that time that whereas we had 3 presidential candidates, i.e. candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, now president Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, 2 Atiku Abubakar, and 3 Peter Obi. I said, however, that we had only 2 major political parties going into that race. The APC and the PDP. So the Labour Party is not a practiced political party. It rode on the crest and popular wave of what looked like a pathological and psychological animosity for the politics of the Asian regime. So in Edo State, yes, in the last election, the obedient movement had a very great showing. But again, that was because, like I said again, he rode on the magnetic persona of Peter Obi. And that time, with the presidential election over, with the terminus ad quem of the presidential election, Labour Party has gone into total demolience, In most of the states, including Edo State. I predict again that the election, the governorship election coming up in Edo State, is an election that is going to be largely fought between the APC and the PDP. The Labour Party, the Labour Party will not have any good showing in Edo State. And I predict that this election is for the APC to take. If we lose the election in Edo State, God forbid, that will be because we've not been able to manage very well the internal dynamics going to usher in the party primaries. It will mean equally we've not been able to manage very well the post-acceptability and asperity arising from the party primary. Otherwise, I can see the victory of APC in Edo State is as honestly clear like the biblical teke mene you fasting. Because the PDP in Edo State is divided, is organized across the line into very atomistic, several atomistic parts. You know, it's hard to take.
The current governor of the state, Godwin Obaseki, will certainly disagree with you. I mean, he has emphasized over and over again that the PDP is one united party in Edo State, and he keeps rallying around. You know, I think he would also say that what you're currently saying is it will continue to happen until a governorship candidate emerges on the platform of the PDP. It's something that the APC also will have to deal with. But it's interesting. I mean, I would not expect you to say that another party will take it because you're still a partisan member of the political class in Edo State. So I'm not going to press you on that. However, let me take you up on INEC because a lot of people had confidence in INEC pre the 2023 elections as a result of what they had seen it do in Edo State in the 2019 or 2020 elections. As a result of the 2020 elections and how INEC conducted itself, they had very strong, confidence in the electoral management body that it could deliver on very transparent polls in 2023. However, we've seen that that's not been the case. I mean, 2023 elections have been hotly contested. And then the off-cycle elections that have now been conducted in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi states have left a lot to be desired. So for you, looking at what we've seen happen in 2023, how confident are you that the electorate in Edo State will have sufficient confidence, or what do you think the electoral body needs to do to be able to build confidence in the people of Edo that it is capable of conducting free, fair, and credible elections in the state?
Thank you so much. I would answer that question. But even before I attempt to answer that question, let me press myself. You said you were not going to press me, but I have decided to press myself on the issue you have raised on the possibility of PDP taking the state. I don't see Governor Obaseki and the chief Dan Obi group agglutinating in spite of the tenacious and pertinacious attempt at the dying minute for the governor to bring about a coalition. It will not work. As we are talking now, the sitting deputy governor of the state are sided with the chief also Dan Obi group. I am telling you, this election, my sister, is for the asking. It's not just because I'm an APC partisan. But having said that, let me say that the Ayatus, what looked like the Ayatus in the RF glitch during the last presidential elections does not totally mean that process, that electoral process, was not a good process. It did not really mean that INEC did not perform. In any case, given the incremental reforms in our electoral infrastructure, the performance of INEC towards approximating it to the democratic net plus ultra is work in progress. But what I want to see INEC do now is to ensure that all sensitive materials for the off-cycle elections, ballot papers, result sheets, are printed in good time. They have enough time to prepare. There's enough low-cost point exchange to prepare for these elections. So there will be no justification for going into any emergency approach as they used to do. That itself has militated against the optimal performance of INEC. Secondly, I don't think that INEC should always wait till
oh dear, it appears as if, okay, Honorable Obahiagbon is back now.
And sensitizing the voters. INEC should begin the process in earnest in sensitizing the voters. Materials for that election should be printed in good time. And I think because it's an off-cycle election, INEC will have all the manpower and all the resources to focus.
Honorable Obahiagbon.
Overpower will not be there.
Honorable Obahiagbon, indeed, you have been sorely missed. And one thing that one must give to you over the years is your stoicism, or what we'll call your seriousness, and your commitment to your style of communication, even in the face of extreme reaction from your audience, of course, which you will undoubtedly get after the program. Earlier on, when you were talking, okay, before I even get there, since we're talking about INEC, when we review the performance of INEC in the 2023 elections, either it's the general and the off-cycle elections, where we, recall late deployment of electoral materials. In some cases, even in the off-cycle election, the bypassing of the BVAS, the test and of the electronic transmission of results, which turned out to be a huge dissatisfaction from the people, on the part of how INEC failed to transmit results, and so many other, aspects of the performance of INEC in the 2023 presidential election. Has INEC justified the billions, in fact, hundreds of billions of naira allocated to it to prosecute the elections?
Well, like I said, it's work in progress. No doubt, Nigerians and myself will be happy if INEC has performed more in a blaze of glory more than they have currently done. For example, I did say just now that materials coming late in the process of election at this stage of our electoral reforms, they cannot give any excuse for that. No, it certainly cannot. And beyond the RF glitch, there were other shoddy areas that INEC itself must take responsibility for. But in spite of these objurgations against INEC, in spite of the fact that I've been able to say that Nigerians should have expected a more daunting and a more scintillating performance from INEC, it has been incremental progress on the part of INEC. It has been incremental progress on the part of INEC. But that is not enough for INEC to go into the arms of Morpheus, or for INEC to now luxuriate in the marshmallow of electoral somnambulism. INEC should bestir itself, to be able to take account and take charge, from its electoral peccadillo so far, which is sufficiently in the public domain. In fact, highlighted, brought under focal biceps and biceps by critical Nigerians and by the media, and make an improvement.
Well, the operative words there, out of what I can understand, is incremental progress. And I wonder if, those listening will agree with you, Honorable Obahiagbon. But let's review lessons from other events in 2023, since we're still in the stock-taking week. When we look at Rivers State and the political feud between the former governor and the current governor, observers would say that, it's a return to the practice of politics of crude godfatherism that has not left us. But really, did politics of godfatherism ever leave at any point in our history? Or is Rivers, showing it, making it glaring? And how can we get past this?
Okay, my sister, you see, when we discuss the current Rivers political higgledy-piggledy from the point of view of crude godfatherism, it seems that we're already wearing an analytical monocle, locating the problem alone on the supposed godfather. I must make a confession this morning, and that confession I want to make is that because of my intense spiritual life, because of my intense mystical life, and when I say spiritual life now, I'm not talking about religiosity and sociality. There's a world of difference between religiosity, sociality, and spirituality. Because of my intense spiritual life, I detest very, very, very rigorously any attempt, any act bordering on ingratitude. Because ingratitude is one of the destroyers of life. 6 months, we all saw the yeoman's job. We saw the yeoman's job. Yes, some wicked put into the installation of the governor of River State, Governor Sim Fubara, as governor of River State. We saw the share yeoman's job. And in less than 6 months, what we see is political bellicosity, political belligerency, and political pugilism. No. That is not to say that I am encouraging those who install governors to become megalomaniacal and begin to exhibit, an authoritarian mien that borders on monomania. No, that's what I'm encouraging. But the burden of managing that relationship, at least 6 months, the burden of managing the relationship, if somebody have not told the governor of River State, I must tell him this morning, he owns the greater burden in managing that relationship. Of course, Wicked too has a burden to manage the relationship, but the greater burden rests on Governor Fubara. Let me, however, commend the governor that is beginning to make the right statements, beginning to give the right signals after the presidential proclamation, which is signed. And going forward, I want to encourage him to skedaddle, by that I mean to run away from the rantings and blandishments of mandibular walkabout.
Well,
all those mandibular walkabouts, he should run away from them.
Well, Honorable Obahiagbon, I'm sure a lot of people might be surprised seeing that you seem to also be supporting former Governor Nyesom Wike, but hey, it's politics, and it's very interesting when you watch Nigerian politics. But I have two quick questions for you. Imagine that case, the president had to intervene, and we've seen how things have played out ever since then. But I recall that when the president announced the removal of subsidy, you described it as let me get the word now, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, if I got that correct, which simply means good, and I saw that reported in the media. But I don't know if Nigerians have that luxury of maybe vocabulary or grammar to describe what has followed, particularly with the economic decisions of the president and other policies, inflation's on the rise, the foreign exchange, almost 1,200 naira to $1 now, and the cost of living really tough. The Yuletide is not what it used to be. So would you still describe the current reality as supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Good, simply?
You have tried, my brother, in being initiated into that school of neologism. I say again without any degree of arrogance that, but watch my words this time advisedly, not the removal of subsidy by President Tinubu. I say that the implementation of the removal of fuel subsidy by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was and remains supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Yes. That is because if you take the removal of the fuel subsidy in juxtapose with the amalgamation and agglutination of the foreign exchange regime, you will see that these were the two subsidies that had all the putrescent possibilities and proclivities, for breathing into our economic solar plexus and a hemorrhagic situation where money that has been freed now, following that action, we're in the hands of some hierarchs, in the hands of some oligarchs, and in the hands of some comprador and bureaucratic bourgeoisie. No doubt, I must admit, no doubt, that following those two key necessary decisions, the cost of living has improved, the naira has nosedived. But like Mr. President said, a very empathetic leader, like the president said, when he had cause to address the nation. He did say in a national broadcast, Nigerians, be patient with me. If I had any alternative, I would have followed that route. But there's no other way. This is the only way, as painful as they are. I will not take these decisions to hurt you when I'm here to show love to my people and to Nigerians. In any case, all the presidential candidates at that time campaigned on the plank of the removal of fuel subsidy. That was the only thing to do. But Mr. President is equally taking some steps in the short run, in the medium run, and in the long run. I just appeal to Nigerians to be patient with Mr. President, and in the long run, we will see the advantages. By the way, I don't know if you have noticed that this is the first Christmas and New Year we are celebrating for a very, very long time, for a period of iron now, where we did not see fuel queues, where we did not notice scarcity of fuel and people queuing for fuel. These are part of the sanitization of that industry. Yes, is there room to do much beyond the 35,000 naira that has been given as increment on wages for 6 months? Yes, Mr. President is currently finalizing giving 25,000 naira to 15 million Nigerians from who are vulnerably perished. I am aware too, and take my words to the bank, that in the new year, the promise that Mr. President gave to students that they will enjoy student loans, take my words to the bank, in the new year, that will come into operation. Equally, take my words to the bank that in the new year, a new minimum wage is being worked.
Obahiagbon, if I may come in here, we're almost out of time, and we would indeed take your words to the bank. The students would also be smiling when they see that happen. But you said something earlier about the president telling Nigerians to be patient with him. Nigerians are still being patient, but right now, yes, there were no fuel queues during this festive period because there was no scarcity of fuel, but there was scarcity of the cash.
Yes, I do fully agree with you that there was scarcity of cash. But you see, the situation we find ourselves now is a situation that has been piled down for a very long time due to bad governance for the last several years. Now we're having a leadership who is disciplined enough, a leadership who is audacious to take the right decision, a very empathetic leader. Let me tell one thing to Nigerians that missed Nigerians, for you to know how empathetic this president is. It's just that the villa didn't make a noise about it. You know, there was a time when the president had to commute from his Aso Villa house residence to the villa when they were putting the villa in order. And that caused a whole lot of traffic chaos and caused a whole lot of inconvenience to people around Aso Rock and its environs. I am aware that Mr. President caused his staff to do a letter of apology to everybody in that neighborhood. That is an empathetic leader that we have currently at the seat of power. It's a listening leader.
All right.
I want to show Nigerians that in the long run, this will be for the betterment of all of us.
And I think that's a good place to hang it there, that in the long run, things will get better for all Nigerians. Honorable Patrick Obahiagbon, I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning. And indeed, we look forward to seeing more of you now that you're out of your cocoon and you're ready to get in the mix. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. But before I round off from my side, let me thank you for bringing back under the media kaleidoscope, Oga at the top. I watched that program about 3 weeks ago. Given what he went through from this piazza, I was so happy that you guys had to celebrate him when you brought him back after his retirement. That too shows empathy on your part. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you again.